I was standing in my kitchen in Cedar Falls, Iowa, holding a coffee mug I'd already forgotten to drink when my hands started shaking. Not from pain, not from fear, just a sudden quiet thought that landed hard in my chest that said, "You are running out of time." The clock above the stove clicked forward, 1 second at a time, louder than it ever had before. The house was still. Too still. I set the mug down before I dropped it. My reflection stared back at me from the dark window, looking older than I felt and more tired than I wanted to admit. And in that moment, something became painfully clear. The biggest mistake of my life wasn't what I did, it was what I kept postponing. In a moment, you'll understand why it took me 53 years to learn that lesson, and why I don't want you making the same one. My name is Richard Lawson. I am 80 years old. Most people just call me Rick. I am closer to the end of my life than the beginning. That is not drama, that is math. And if I have learned anything after 53 years of getting it wrong, it is this. Time is the only thing you cannot earn back, refinance, or recover later. Not with money, not with status, not with good intentions. Before I tell you the rest of my story, I want to ask you for something simple. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Not for the likes, but for the reminders I'm going to bring you. Because as long as I am still here, as long as I still wake up and see the morning light come through that kitchen window, I am going to tell you the lessons I learned too late, the conversations I avoided, the years I postponed, the silence that cost me more than any financial mistake ever could. If you are over 50, over 60, or even 30 and think you have endless time, then please stay with me. I cannot go back and fix my past, but maybe together we can protect what you still have left. I've lived my entire life in Cedar Falls, in the same neighborhood, going to the same grocery store, walking the same stretch of road every day, leading past the old high school and down toward Main Street. I married my wife, Mary, when we were both in our 20s. We raised 2 kids here, our son, Tom, and our daughter, Lisa. From the outside, my life looked steady. I was responsible and people could depend on me. I worked at the same manufacturing plant for over 35 years. I showed up. I did what I was supposed to do. But here's the truth I avoided for most of my life. I spent more than 50 years believing I still had time to become myself later. I treated my real life like it was something I could get to once things calmed down, once the pressure eased, once I earned it. The regret I carry isn't about one bad decision or one terrible mistake. It's about a habit, a long, quiet habit of waiting to speak, waiting to feel, waiting to live life fully. I didn't realize it back then, but every year I delayed this, it came with a cost. But I wouldn't understand until much later. In my late 20s, life sped up without asking permission. Work demanded more than just hours. It wanted my best energy, my sharpest focus, my patience. I told to myself this was all just temporary, just a busy season. But the seasons stacked on top of each other year after year. One responsibility led neatly into the next. A mortgage, a few promotions, and over time, expectations. I ate dinners fast, barely tasting them, already thinking about tomorrow. Mary would talk about her day, and I'd nod, half listening, my mind somewhere else. Tom and Lisa grew right in front of me. They were having soccer games, school plays, homework at the kitchen table. I was there, but I wasn't present. My wife used to ask, "Rick, are you listening?" "Yeah," I'd say. "I hear you." But eventually, she stopped asking. Soon, I'd say, after this quarter, after things slowed down. I said it so often that it stopped meaning anything. I didn't realize that life wasn't waiting for me to be ready. It was moving on without me, one ordinary Tuesday after another. The warning signs were subtle. I woke up tired no matter how long I slept. Little inconveniences made me angry in ways they never used to. A slow cashier at Hy-Vee, a missed turn on the way home, a question asked when my head was already full. Even my days off felt tense, like I was borrowing time I didn't deserve. Everyone around me seemed just as exhausted, just as distracted. So I told myself this was normal. This was adulthood. Nothing felt broken enough to fix. And that's what made it dangerous. The moment everything shifted didn't arrive with drama. No hospital room, no sirens, just a quiet evening and an old drawer. Mary was out visiting her sister when I opened it. Inside were photographs I hadn't looked at in years. Birthdays, pictures of Christmas mornings, camping trips up in Minnesota. I flipped through them slowly, then stopped at one. There was a picture of Tom and Lisa sitting on the front steps. They couldn't have been more than 7 and 5. I looked younger, happier, at least on the surface. I stared at it, searching my memory, and nothing came. I couldn't remember the day. I couldn't remember what we talked about. I couldn't remember how it felt to be there. It was then when I realized something that hit me harder than any argument ever had. I had been physically present for years, which I could barely recall. I had shown up, but I hadn't lived them. That night, lying in bed, the truth finally surfaced. I had been treating my life like a rehearsal, like the real version would start later. And suddenly, I understood something terrifying. The term later was not guaranteed. Most of my life was not ahead of me anymore. It was behind me. Once that thought settles in, it doesn't leave quietly. After that night, everything felt different. Not louder, but heavier. I started noticing how often I rushed conversations with Mary. How many apologies I postponed because they felt uncomfortable. How many calls from Tom and Lisa I cut short because I was busy. I saw my life clearly for the first time, and that clarity hurt. There was no villain to blame, no single choice I could point to, just 1,000 small delays, a habit of saying, "Not now." And the hardest part was accepting that no one forced me into it. I chose it myself, over and over, quietly. I remember sitting alone at the kitchen table one morning, the sun coming through the window, and I was realizing how many mornings I had rushed past just like it. I let the silence sit. It felt really unfamiliar, uncomfortable, but it felt honest. That was the price of waiting. It was not disaster or tragedy, just a slow erosion of presence. Regret does not always scream. Sometimes it whispers, and by the time you hear it clearly, decades have passed by. I am 80 now, and I don't know how many good years I have left. That used to terrify me, but it doesn't anymore. Because the years after I finally woke up have been the fullest of my life. Not because I added more, but because I stopped postponing. I stopped living like my days were endless practice rounds. I learned to sit longer in conversations with Mary, to listen without planning my reply. I notice the morning light through the kitchen window now. I call Tom and Lisa just to hear their voices. I say things out loud that I kept stored away for decades. I repaired relationships I once believed were beyond repair. I let go of grudges that had been quietly stealing my time. Trips aren't about destinations anymore. They're about attention. I also stopped rationing affection. Now I say, I love you like it matters, because it does. Here's the truth. I wish someone had sat me down and said this to me plainly when I was 30, before the years started stacking up so quietly. Time doesn't reward patience the way you think it does. It doesn't give out bonuses for waiting your turn or holding everything together a little longer. It doesn't notice how responsible you've been or how hard you've worked to delay your own needs. Time rewards presence. And presence only happens when you stop assuming you'll get around to life later. When you finally accept that your days are numbered, something shifts inside you. Not in a dramatic way, not all at once, but slowly, like your eyes adjusting to better light. Ordinary moments sharpen, colors become deeper. You hear things you used to tune out to. You notice how someone's voice changes when they are tired. You notice how often you have been rushing past moments that were quietly asking for your attention. I used to believe slowing down was something you earned, something you were allowed to do once you proved yourself. But life doesn't work like that. There is no finish line where someone taps you on the shoulder and says, "Okay, now it's time to enjoy this." If you wait for permission, you'll be waiting forever. If you are listening to this and you are telling yourself you will slow down later, I understand that voice. I lived with it for 53 years. It sounded reasonable. It sounded responsible. It said, "Not now, you're busy." It said, "Later will be better." It said, "Just get through this part first." And year after year, I believed it. Until one day, I realized that later had quietly turned into almost never. So let me ask you something, and don't brush it off too quickly. What are you postponing right now that feels harmless, but is not? A conversation you keep avoiding because it feels uncomfortable. A dream you've labeled unrealistic because it does not fit neatly into your schedule. A truth about your life that you keep pushing to someday because facing that truth would require change. What is that delay costing you? Not someday, not today. What moments are slipping past while you stay busy convincing yourself you will deal with it later? You don't have to fix everything at once. That's not what I'm saying. But you do have to be honest. Say it out loud, or write it down, or leave it in the comments. I read them. Calling it by its name matters more than you think. Because once you name it, it stops hiding in the background, quietly taking years from you. Time doesn't wait for clarity. It moves whether you're ready or not. And the life you're planning to live later is already tapping you on the shoulder right now, asking for your attention. So what are you going to do with the time you still have?